Now, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, great to have you with us.
Great to be back.
Studio. Thank you for joining us. You know, Bill Melugin reported 1.4 million migrants that are under deportation removal orders in Texas. It's very interesting, and I want to take a look at this soundbite. Actually, this is your land commissioner Dawn Buckingham talking about 1,400 acres in Texas that are going to be used as part of the deportation process. Watch this.
What I care about is that we have safe communities, and there is no doubt that we are losing too many of our children to these violent criminals that are coming across the border. I am 100% on board with the Trump administration's pledge to get these criminals out of our country, and we are more than happy to offer our resources to facilitate those deportations of these violent criminals.
So, Governor, tell me, what will this land be used for? What will it look like?
So right now, the land is being used to have another border wall built on that land by the state of Texas. But using this land for deportation purposes is just part of a multitude of strategies that we're involved in. One is, as we speak right now, there are more orange buoys that are being put into the Rio Grande River to deny illegal entry. Second thing is we are working to make sure that we're going after the criminals that Dawn Buckingham was talking about. That's why I declared Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, so that we would be able to muster every single law enforcement tool in the state of Texas to go after them and arrest them. We've made hundreds of arrests of Tren de Aragua, which is working to expand across the country. But we're making it clear that Tren de Aragua made a mistake when they tried to put a foothold in the state of Texas.
So we heard Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, and this is Katie Hobbs. Even after the election, these states are still pushing back. And I know you told me in the break that the Biden administration is also already trying to stop what you're doing with these buoys. So here's Katie Hobbs of Arizona.
We will not be participating in misguided efforts that harm our communities. It tears families apart, and that's not going to happen on my watch.
What we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear.
What do you make of it, Governor?
They're doubling down on the reasons why they lost the election.
Yeah.
What the Americans demanded were, for one, safe communities, but for another, to stop the illegal immigration into our country, especially of those who pose great dangers, whether it be in Arizona, whether it be in Massachusetts, or other places across the country where they're not going to be cooperating with ICE, with the border czar, with any effort to remove very dangerous criminals. They're going to see more crimes in their cities, and they're going to see more losses at the ballot box, because Americans are angry about this. And these office holders, they're going to have to be responding to that anger.
I want to ask you about these bills with regard to China, but I just want to get a little more clarity on these deportation centers, that they're going to be built on this property. Is that the understanding?
Well, listen, the deal, all of that's going to be up to the Trump administration and where they want to use what strategy. The reality is that a lot of the people being deported, they're going to be deported from New York, from California.
Flown out on planes.
Flown out on planes, going elsewhere. And so we just want to make sure that the Trump administration understands we are here to help, whether it be to deny illegal entry, whether it be to arrest those who are here illegally, whether it be to assist in the deportation process.
All right, let's talk about what you're doing aimed at the Chinese Communist Party in Texas to make sure that they don't have a foothold, which in a lot of places they already do.
Right.
Tell me about it.
So many Americans are unaware that China specifically targets states in the United States to undermine what's going on in the United States of America. They have been in Texas going after Chinese dissidents who left China, and they are legally in the state of Texas now. And they have these local police stations set up run by Chinese, going after the Chinese in the state of Texas.
Tell people how they did that. I mean, I know about it, but there are Chinese police stations set up in Texas.
In Houston.
How did they get away with that?
Well, for one,
we don't allow other countries' law enforcement to act within our borders.
And so they have no law enforcement effect. For Texas or Texans. Yeah. They think they have a law enforcement effort for the Chinese who are in Houston, Texas, but that's being shut down. And so once we learned about it, working with the federal government, the FBI, people like that, we're able to identify it and work to shut it down. So we have the Chinese going after people. We have the Chinese going after intellectual property. We have the Chinese going. We have the largest power grid in the United States in the state of Texas. They would potentially be able to attack our power grid and shut down Texas. If they do that, they would also shut down the largest energy sector in the United States. We rank number 3 in the world for oil production. And if they brought all that to a halt, it would be devastating for the operational purposes of the United States of America. So we're on the front lines of having to guard against this potential Chinese attack, which is why we are redoubling our efforts to arrest anybody in the state of Texas who's posing any type of China problem whatsoever, by making sure that our universities, our investments, all things like that are being walled off from China.
It takes a coordinated effort because there are so many different ways that they're trying to penetrate. And you've been on top of it since the beginning, Governor. Thank you very much for joining us today. I know there are a couple of counties in Texas that had never voted Republican that went Republican in this last election. There was talk that it was becoming a little more purple, but it didn't show up that way in the past election. Thank you, Governor. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you.
I hope you'll keep us posted on what's going on.